Hey. Yo, Bruins fans, the fun ain't stopping yet. Welcome back to It's About Hockey. I'm Mason, and today we're going to review Game 1 of Round 2 of the Boston Bruins facing the Florida Panthers in these 2024 Stanley Cup Playoffs. Again, welcome back. Before we jump into it, just want to remind everyone, I am giving away a Hartford Whalers jersey. If you're unaware, go watch the video that is right in this corner right here. If you're not subscribed, please consider it. If you do and leave me a comment on said video up there, you will be entered into winning a Hartford Whalers jersey. So, business aside, yes, Boston Bruins fans, congratulations. Your team has won 2 games in a row. One of them being Game 7, and the other one being Game 1 of Round 2 against the dominant Florida Panthers. We're going to talk about this game, but before we even do that, I want to talk a little bit about this matchup in this series. I know I didn't do a preview video of this series, and we're not going to go super deep into a preview because it would just be kind of spinning wheels. But I want to point out a couple things. We're definitely going to talk about this game, but we're going to start the clock pretty damn quick here. Again, the clock is here, so try to keep up with me if you can. I'm going to be quick about it so we can talk about this game and kind of what we can expect for this series. So if you're ready, I'm going to hit this button here. All right, like I said, Boston Bruins take down the Florida Panthers 5-1, being outshot and taking him down 5-1. That is important, and I will get to it in a minute. But tonight's 3 stars of the game, no big surprise here. Jeremy Swayman been lights out for the Boston Bruins these whole playoffs so far. Mason. Although the kid's hair can do a little bit better than that. I know the young whippersnappers out there like the flow, but it ain't my steez. And then Pavel Zacha. 3 stars of tonight. Again, we're going to get to this game tonight, but I want to jump into this series really quick because I've been doing that for pretty much all my series. This is a head-to-head matchup of the Florida Panthers and the Boston Bruins in these 2024 playoffs and just comparing the two teams, how they've done so far in these playoffs. Now, Boston is going to be higher, I would think, for a majority of these stats because they have played more games. This will not let me break down game by game, so it's kind of hard to do, but just looking at the stat sheets really quick, again, the ones I don't care about, skating speed, skate distance, shot speed, those are all good and dandy to have, just don't really have an effect on the game from my perspective right now. Shots on goal, again, more games, you're going to have more shots, 193 to 160. Goals, though, not a huge shocker. Florida did put in a lot of work in the first round against the Tampa Bay Lightning, so that is reflecting a little bit higher shot percentage, also in favor of the Florida Panthers. Time and zones, again, Game 7s, they had, 3 more games or 2 more games? I don't remember what the series was. Anyways, they had more games than the Florida Panthers. Moving on. The one thing that I wanted to take a look at, because I did listen to the post-game press conferences from the Florida Panthers. I haven't got to the Boston Bruins yet. It's getting late in my time, so I will do it after I wrap this video up. But I heard some things in their press conference that made me want to look at the stat sheets for these playoffs so far for both these teams. Right now, Boston is in the number 1 spot for these playoffs, only under games played. They've played 8 so far, so they're above the undefeated New York Rangers, who I think they might see the next round, if they can get past the Florida Panthers. So right now, again, they're in first place. Again, just from games played, nothing too crazy to look at. So if you see the stat, don't freak out. It really doesn't mean anything just yet because of the stat I'm going to get to. It's going to prove a little bit of what I'm talking about here. So just looking at this really quick, I wanted to look at the power play from the Florida Panthers because I didn't know. I just learned of this, again, during these press conferences. The Florida Panthers have not scored on the Boston Bruins on their power play at all this entire season, which is, 1, kudos to the Boston Bruins for having a good penalty kill, 2, for having a really good goaltenders, and just being resilient all the way through against the Panthers. So right now, I wanted to look at the power play for the Panthers these playoff season, and just kind of see where they're at and to see how they performed. Again, they played the Tampa Bay Lightning in round one. I didn't look at their penalty kill, the Tampa Bay penalty kill, but again, I'm not trying to dwell on the past and see what that's all about. But I did want to see how many opportunities they had last round and see how many goals they scored. 3 for 16 on the power play wound up being I'm sorry, this is not accurate because this is including today's. So, well, let's just talk about what it is right now. 3 for 16 thus far. It is at 18.8%. Not going to really do you any good in these playoffs right now. I think there's going to be some adjustments for sure for these Florida Panthers. But 3 for 16 as it stands right now. How many goals they got? Around 2.6. So it's not great. It's definitely, it needs work for sure. And with the star power they have on their squad, I would assume it's going to be better. And there's going to be a reason why I think it's going to get better here. We'll get to it in a second. But looking at their power play this year as a whole, because again, they didn't score on the Boston Bruins at all this year. They were 63 for 268 opportunities, putting their power play at a 23.5%. So not great, right? It's basically one goal every 4.25 power plays. I did the math beforehand. I'm trying to remember my notes. But yeah, so that's, for about every 4 power plays, they get 1 goal. A team like Boston, you can get under their skin. We know the Florida Panthers can get under people's skin, being the rats of the league. I would assume that is a talent they hold near and dear to their heart, and I believe they will execute and use that going forward. It's just, can they refrain from retaliation from said rattiness, I guess you could say. But yes, we're going to move on. We're going to look at the game itself. So let's go to the game itself really quick. All right. Now, looking at this series, I had to look at my bracket again because I do like Florida. And, I was like, I wasn't sure if I was on Boston's side this time around. I had to relook at my bracket. And I do have the Boston Bruins going to the Eastern Conference Final because I do want to see a original 6 matchup in the Eastern Conference Final. If the New York Rangers pull it out, if the Boston Bruins pull it out, I think that would be a good matchup. But if the Florida Panthers pull it out, I still think it's a great matchup as well. Florida's got a great team. There's no denying that whatsoever. But looking at this game 1, we finally arrived. If you made it, if you stuck with me, we're here. We're going to talk about it. Let's go talk about game 1. Let's look at the stats for this game. Matthew Chuck getting us started on the board. 1-0, crazy good, accurate shot with a smidge of a tip. You can look at it in slow motion. We're not going to look at it today because there's really nothing to say about that goal other than it was a turnover and he was just wide open. So it just kind of happens. But looking at the stats for today, shots on goal, yes, the Florida Panthers were rested. They had a couple days off. Boston's coming off that game 7 win on Saturday night. So 2 nights, so it's called a day and a half worth of rest. I wasn't expecting Boston to perform the way they did tonight. I wasn't thinking about it from their perspective. They do have momentum right now. They have momentum rolling from Saturday. Florida's last game was sometime last week. I don't even remember what day it was. I think it was Tuesday. I think. So they've had some time off. They have cooled off, so to speak. Boston is still rolling the wave of Game 7. And they're on the road. There's no pressure for them to play at home. There's no pressure on them at all right now. So I kind of like, now that I've thought about it after Game 1 and hearing press conferences and looking at these stats, these ones and the ones prior to, no real pressure from Boston right now. I think they're feeling loose, and it's kind of scary to think if Boston can stay loose, they can stay healthy. I think that could be a recipe for disaster for other teams in the East, except for the Rangers. But yeah, again, looking at these stats, 39 to 29 shots. Very evident that the Florida Panthers were trying to catch up because they did lose 5-1. So I did expect them to put as many shots on goal as possible. Even if it was a different score, I still expect them to put a lot of shots because they have had a lot of shots these playoffs. They believe they are, where is the stat at? I believe they are shots. Where are shots? Shots per game. They are second right now, only behind the Colorado Avalanche. So they're kind of averaging how many shots? About 33.2 shots per game. So they are pretty much right on track. Again, they are a shoot first, cram the net with rebound opportunity kind of team. So it doesn't surprise me to see them putting that many shots on Swayman or anybody they face, to be honest. Face-offs, they had the upper hand on it for sure. Power plays, both teams were 0% for their opportunities. Florida had 3 opportunities and Boston had 2 penalty minutes. Yeah, it was a little shenanigans going on in that game. It was a rough game for sure. We do have some carryover from last year. They're 2 different teams with the same mentality, so I expect some roughhousing-ness to go on during the series. I'm sure all you do is just as well. So there's no surprise there. I am surprised at the amount of hits that were thrown by the Boston Bruins. Again, they are riding the momentum wave. They did just come off a 7-game series. I can imagine those bodies from those men are pretty tired. But if that Game 7 gave them the jolt they needed, it definitely showed tonight. Again, that wave of momentum is carrying over. I just didn't expect them to throw the body as much. I actually kind of expected Florida to throw it a little bit more. But if they're still holding on some of that aggression from last year, it definitely showed tonight with the 69 hits. Block shots, again, I'm not going to go over block shots. I've done it every freaking video. You need to do it. Boston did it. Giveaways and takeaways, pretty even. Giveaways pretty even. Takeaways, Florida had the opportunities, just could not capitalize on them. We are going to look at some goals. Let's jump to it. This one right here. This is Geeky's goal, and I was talking about riding the wave of momentum and coming in with a game plan for the Boston Bruins. I think I might see it a little bit already. Last year, again, they got knocked out by these guys. They got the reverse sweep on them pretty much. And again, there's some animosity there, I think. So I think the game plan this year is to finish your plays to a freaking T. Do not give up pressure. Put the pressure on Florida. Let them make the mistakes they're going to make. And I think tonight was a good reflection of that after watching these replays, because this is more Geeky's goal right here. And I'm going to get to it in a second here. But this is a very good forecheck from the Boston Bruins. And the pressure that they put on him has made this goal possible. This is Ekblad here. I'm not sure who this is down here in the corner. Again, it's kind of blurry, so we will get to it. But you can see the forecheck is trapping Ekblad right here. There is a breakout pass up the middle. Again, not sure who this is right here, but Ekblad feeling the pressure on both sides. I think he decided to ram it up the boards, and I think I can't see it from the replay. I think it hits the official right here. So we're going to go through it a little bit. So he was either banking it off the boards or he was trying to bank off the boards and hit the official. But it basically wound up landing right in front. Right here. Who is that? That's Pasta. It landed right on Pasta's stick. But again, that forecheck pressure, he really didn't have an outlet pass on this breakout right here. If he had the time, he could have rimmed it right back around the net, and they could have flipped it the other way. But I think the pressure was there, which made him force this puck up the boards. Lands on Pasta's stick. I don't know who that is originally on that goal. Is Zacha. But it's basically a garbage goal in front of the net. Obviously, it counts. It brought them. It swung the momentum back to, well, it kind of evened the momentum because the Panthers had just scored prior to this. But the pressure is what's important in this play on this forecheck, because Ekblad, he felt pressure and he made a crucial mistake in my opinion, by trying to break that out going up the center when he should have swung it back around the boards. It's also on, who is that right there? Barkov right here. He didn't really support all that well. He was doing what he was supposed to, on a breakout. Centers usually curl outward and inward. This one being outward to the boards. So he was doing his job, but it was just a little in front of him a little bit. And I think it bounced off the official, so I think it took a weird bounce. Not exactly a horrible play, but a great forecheck by the Boston Bruins because it did force a turnover, and ultimately they scored a goal. We're moving on. All right, let's keep going. Again, another example of pressure. This is Mason Lohrei's goal right here. So we're going to go back a little bit. Here comes the forecheck. Again, players are... Boston is riding a wave of momentum right now. I'm not going to say that again. Putting a good forecheck on is incredibly important in the playoffs, incredibly important in any game, in the playoffs especially. You want your opponent to know you're there at all times. You want to finish every check you have, which is exactly what happens here. This is a standard breakout pass right up the wing. But Mason Lohrei right here, again, finishing his check on, who is that? I don't even know who that is. You'll have to forgive me for not seeing these blurry-ass numbers. Number 10. Don't know who it is. Doesn't matter. Bad breakout pass from him as well. He tried to jam with the boards, but there was no breakout outlet pass for that either. So I think that's Barkov again. Is it? I can't tell. Either way, bad breakout pass. You'll have to look at this play too because the team is starting to break out until they realize, there's the breakout's not happening as more, so everyone kind of scrambles to get back into position. And Mason Lohrei, after he forces that turnover, he finds the space by the circle. He's kind of going off screen a little bit right here. So he's finding the space, creating space. And it just happens to be a one-on-one shot with him and Bobrovsky. And what does he do? He puts the top corner in. We know the rest. He scores a goal. But again, the pressure on the forecheck is what made this happen. Moving on. One more time. This is new father, Brandon Carlisle, his goal. And this is a great example, again, of sustained pressure. We are racing for the puck, right? This is a mistake right here. I think that's Barkov as well. So what happens here is we got a race for the puck. It goes off the boards. Watch Barkov. And I don't know who this is right here. This picture right here, it's a bad one if you're a Panthers fan. Because what is lacking from this play specifically is no one finished their check. This was a perfect opportunity to, one, hit him on the board, or pin your player on the boards. Who is that? I don't even know who that is. Is it Charlie Coyle? I think it is. They should have, one, hit him right here. They could have easily pinned him. Barkov could have easily pinched in from the top point and pinned him down here. He does have to worry about Marchand, but someone's on Marchand as well. So it's kind of iffy, but I think the play here was to finish the check. And I don't think I actually 100% know. That is the play. You need to take the body regardless. Even if he does pass it to Marchand, it doesn't matter. You finish your checks in the playoffs, and he does not. No one does this. Look at, they both skate past him. Barkov is curling back in the middle. At this point, he's already beat. Like, there is no question about this. He is beat. He just has to hope and pray nothing happens. And obviously, but look how far he curls out from the top of the circle to the dot. Look how much space is left. This right here, this is horrible. Where's the goal at? Let's go again. Yeah, Panthers fans, I'm sorry, but this is garbage. And I think this is what having a couple of days off does to you. Not finishing your checks and not being aware the team you're playing is coming in, one, with a little bit of revenge from last year. They're riding a wave of momentum again. And you make plays like this, you are writing yourself a recipe to get beat easily. It was an evenly matched game for the first 10 minutes. And then there's ebbs and flows in all these games. You start seeing which team is executing a game plan and which team is struggling to keep up. Boston Bruins have a game plan for this. The Florida Panthers had a game plan until they got punched in the mouth. And then we saw what happened. That's it, guys. That is game one in the books. Again, Boston Bruins taking down the Florida Panthers 5-1. Physical series. There was one thing that I think is going to turn the tide in this series after this game. You heard, if you've watched any of the press conferences after the game in the Florida Panthers locker room, you can hear the players say what they're going to adjust next game. They allowed Swayman to see a lot of shots. They weren't being themselves in front of the net, meaning they weren't being nasty. They weren't being the rats that they were used to seeing. They weren't getting enough garbage goals. They obviously didn't get any garbage goals. They only got one. So I fully expect the Florida Panthers to, one, tighten up the things we've talked about tonight, allowing, making the better decisions, not forcing a play, not letting the pressure get to them. And two, you just got to be better in front of the net, man. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The power play has to pick up for them. 100% has to pick up for them because if they cannot get that going, and if the Boston Bruins, Swayman or Olmark can keep up the goaltending they got going on, while his team in front of him keeps the pressure on, I think Boston can probably skate their way through this. I think this could be an upset that we weren't expecting at all. But I fully expect the Florida Panthers to fix that and at least make it an interesting series. But you never know how these things go. Boston, you guys are riding that wave. Congratulations. You got game one in the books. The pressure's on Florida now. It shifts quickly in the playoffs. I believe the pressure is going to be back on Florida because they don't want to go down 2-0 and have to go to Boston and face you guys in TD Garden. So congratulations on your first game victory in round two. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that like button. Please consider hitting that subscribe button. I appreciate it. This channel is growing slowly but surely, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys for liking my videos, for commenting on my videos, for sitting through my 20-minute video of these breakdowns of the game. But I believe they're important for you guys to understand and see how these things are developing because it happens so fast in a game, and sometimes people who are new to the game or new to the playoffs don't see the plays happen as they're happening. I do see them. I obviously break them down a little bit in depth post game, but I think it's good to see because this will tell you guys how the games are going to shift going forward. So I hope you guys like this kind of content. The people who have commented on them, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But yeah, we're going to wrap this thing up, and I will see you guys tomorrow for some more hockey. So peace out, boys. Have a good night.